Hello there, weightlifting people. I thought I would share some thoughts with you today on how I structure my upper body training. Uh, to be honest, this would also apply to structuring your lower body training, but we're watching an upper body workout here, so that kind of drives the theme. But before I get started, just one other point about this is that I'm just offering some suggestions and some things to kind of trigger your thinking. There are different philosophies of how you can do this, and many of those philosophies are valid, even if I don't use them myself. So it's important to realize that training there's definitely science behind training, but because people are all different, there's also kind of an art to training. So there's room for both approaches, and in fact, a good approach should be part science and part art. So with that in mind, one thing to kind of keep in the foremost of your mind as you are planning your training is that muscles have different recovery times based on how much of a toll they can take on your recovery. So big exercises that involve big muscles or more than one muscle group that allow you to use a lot of weight require much more recovery than small, weaker muscle groups that don't allow you to use that much weight. So for example, a really hard bench press workout or a really hard chin-up workout is going to require a longer recovery than, for example, a moderate arm training session. So those are just a couple of things to keep in mind, and it's important to distinguish between ideal and real when it comes to these kinds of decisions as well. So in an ideal world, each muscle would have its own recovery time. Maybe, for example, pecs and lats might require a 4-day recovery, and shoulders might require a 3-day recovery, and maybe arms require a 2-day recovery. But in the real world, that doesn't really work too well unless you want to train 7 days a week and have a constantly changing schedule. So in terms of a real-world application, I find that most people do quite well training the upper body twice a week or thereabouts. Maybe every 3 days, every 4 days, something like that. But since a weekly schedule tends to be more convenient for most people, twice a week is a nice pattern. And in my own training, I try to think about all of the exercises that I want to train on a recurring basis. And I'll actually make a list. I did an article on T Nation about this called the A-B split, and you can Google that and find more information. But the A-B split simply means you list all the exercises you want to do on a regular basis, and for our purposes here, that means a weekly basis. And you prioritize that list. So if your interest is primarily bodybuilding, aesthetics, increasing metabolism, burning calories, being leaner, then the highest priority items on your list are big, multi-joint, multi-muscle compound movements like bench pressing, overhead pressing, chin-ups, lat pull-downs, rows, things like that. And then maybe a little further down the list are smaller exercises involving smaller muscles or fewer muscles, such as direct arm and shoulder training. So you make your list, and you can make that list as long as you want to, but you have to realize that you have to pick your battles in life. Your resources are kind of limited. So your list might be 45 upper body exercises that you want to do every week, but that means that you have to do 22 or 23 exercises per workout. That's not realistic. So your list might be 8 to 10 items long, which means that each workout is going to have 4 or 5 exercises. For me, it tends to be 4. This workout you're watching now is 4 exercises. This workout is bench press, chin-up, triceps extensions, and standing dumbbell curls. That seems to be a sustainable way of organizing this, where you're really employing the 80-20 principle. You're minimizing your diminishing returns, so I think that works quite well. So you make your list, and then you split that list into 2 lists, each of which will be a separate workout of the week. So in this case, on my Tuesday workout, I will do a horizontal press, which is a bench press in this case, and a vertical pull, which is a chin-up, which you're watching now, and then a bicep and a tricep movement. On the other workout, I will tend towards doing an overhead movement, like a barbell military press, and then a horizontal pull, such as a row. I've been doing seated rows recently, and then a bicep and a tricep movement, but a different bicep and a tricep movement. So in other words, I will not necessarily do standing dumbbell curls twice a week. I'll do them once a week, and then maybe the other day I will do a seated curl or an easy bar curl or a low cable curl. I'll provide a little bit of variety because that increases, or I should say decreases, your recovery time. Okay, so those are just a few principles that you can employ. Another principle that actually is pretty important, and I'm violating it here, maybe not a principle, but a strategy, is that it conserves time and energy to do exercises in a circuit fashion. In other words, instead of staying on one station until it's finished, like you see me doing here, it actually makes more sense to alternate back and forth. For example, in my first two exercises, if I were to have done a set of bench presses followed by a set of chins, then my next set of bench presses and my next set of chins, and so forth and so on, until those two exercises are completed, that actually conserves energy and generally will allow you to do more work in the same time frame. So I'm going to start doing that more now that it's just I've just kind of focused my attention on that, and so that's another strategy that to me makes a lot of sense. Now, another kind of, this is a principle or a rule of thumb, is that the more that your goals revolve around aesthetics and bodybuilding and getting leaner and more muscular, the more that variety is important. So in other words, if you're going to train chest twice a week, you want to use different exercises. So for example, maybe it's going to be a flat barbell bench press one session and an inclined dumbbell press the other, or something along those lines. But the more that strength is your goal, you have to remember that strength is a skill. So when I'm getting ready for powerlifting competitions, I will tend to flat barbell bench twice a week so that I have more skill practice. And you might pay a little bit of a price in terms of reduced hypertrophy by using that approach, but it's sort of a consciously made decision. So, and actually, as a powerlifter, the further you are away from a competition, the more variety you'll see in your training, and then the closer you get to a competition, the more specific the training gets. So that's another rule of thumb that I think you can apply with good results. So in any event, I hope this information is useful. As I say, there are different ways to kind of organize training, and one quick thing I'll mention is that my training tends to be organized so that I have 2 upper body days a week and 2 lower body days a week. If your goals are more hypertrophy and body composition oriented, I'm totally fine with full body sessions, meaning that each workout would have upper and lower body exercises. I actually think that's slightly advantageous when losing body fat is a goal, or general conditioning. So there you go, guys. Hope that was useful. Always appreciate your comments and questions. And until then, I will see you next time.